This episode of the LCTV News is brought to you by North Shore Community College, Leo Inc., Brotherhood Credit Union, Daolis Brothers Construction, and King Movers and Storage.
Hello Lynners, community members, and everyone else watching. I'm Dani Vittori, and we are kicking off this week with LCTV's results from the 2024 Nor'easter Awards, followed up with announcements from City Hall and the court system on upcoming events and projects. Wrapped up with the PSA from the Lynn Public Health Department and continued coverage of holiday events. Here's the news for Friday, December 13th, 2024. Back in September, LCTV announced we were finalists in 3 categories in the Nor'easter Awards. The Nor'easter Awards recognizes the achievements of community media and PG access stations and their affiliated local producers in the Northeast, and is put on every year by the Alliance for Community Media's Northeast region. Myself and our Director of Operations, Riley, traveled to Mystic, Connecticut the night of the 9th to claim the 3 awards. We placed 3rd for Fabrics of the Community in the Arts and Culture section, 2nd for the LCTV News in news and magazine format, and most exciting, we won 1st place in Community Impact for our video, Free Little Libraries in Lynn. Huge shout out to my colleagues at LCTV, as well as the Real Program and Lynn Public Arts Commission for working with us on 2 of these videos. One such video, Fabrics of the Community, highlights a project by the Lynn Public Arts Commission. They invited local artists to create pieces on electrical boxes representing cultural fabrics that are important to them and the community as a whole.
The Lynn Public Arts Commission had put out a proposal for artists to create boxes based on cultural fabrics that they found important to them. And they wanted to be representative of like the different sort of cultural groups that you would find, in Lynn.
One of my goals is to try and beautify the city any which way I can, and my biggest strengths are in art.
My box is called Celtic Nations. I'm originally from France, and the region that I'm from is Brittany, and it's the Celtic nations. Our heritage, arts, music, our culture is very strong. So I wanted something about the Six Nations because some of them are well known, some other are not.
My proposal was based on Dutch fabrics. My father's from the Netherlands. A lot of what they brought were handmade tapestries and just different fabric pieces. And so I have a lot of memories of cross stitch and my Oma making cross stitch.
The main picture, which shows High Rock Tower, which for me is the symbol of Lynn, and I put it in a treasure chest with gold coins around it to show that Lynn is precious. And then the other part, I grabbed designs from African materials, specifically from Zimbabwe. In the city of Lynn, there's very little representing the continent of Africa, and this changes that.
Basically, it's 2 symbols in the front, and it symbolizes a connection between earth, water, and air, and the 6 flags on the side and the map on the back.
The utility box was going to be here no matter what, and so being able to have something maybe a little bit nicer to look at than just a shiny metal box or a gray painted box, hopefully brings somebody some joy.
When people walk by, they actually notice it and they look at it. Prior to that, they just go on by.
I think it's beautiful for people to discover that this would be unnoticed, and I've seen people passing by, and it's going to make people stop and think and ask themselves questions.
It's allowing access to everybody to have, beautiful pieces within their city, and I think it does create a lot of pride in people in their city.
People are really happy, and they feel a connection to the box, and they constantly tell me, thank you for doing this, thank you for making this spot and this box more beautiful.
So art is so important. The way I look at life for me is in black and white. It's the color that actually make life worth living. So there are certain things that are needed to make life possible, food, air, etc. But once you get all of that, it's the art and the culture that brings the color and makes life worth living.
The community is welcome to visit any of the boxes listed below to see other pieces of art, part of the Public Art Commission's Fabric of the Community series.
Free Little Libraries in Lynn was created in collaboration with the REAL program to shine a light on the 70 they have already placed throughout the city. But I'll let their executive director and a participant in the program tell you more.
The city of Lynn is full of parks. Just like parks, Lynn is also full of little free libraries, some nestled in the corner of a neighborhood, and some there for all to see. You may have seen these while out and about and wondered, what are these little buildings? Within each lie various books of all types. Book lovers of all ages are encouraged to both take books to read, as well as share their own. And the reason Lynn has so many of these libraries is thanks to the work of Jan Plord and the REAL program. Jan sat down with us to discuss REAL and the little free libraries.
I started the REAL program in 2013. After seeing a focus on literacy was not there, I started it with a handful of people that joined our board. The issue here is one public library for 100,000 people is not a realistic resource for this many people, and especially people who come from places where they haven't had literacy.
The REAL program welcomes local youth year-round.
Children are the biggest resource the city of Lynn has. We're just here helping to nourish that.
One of the youth sat down with us to discuss literacy, the REAL program, and the little free libraries.
I like the REAL program because I can interact with a lot of people, meet new friends, and I get to read, learn how to read, and I always have some playtime. I just think that REAL's a blessing that I could know Jan, all the other people that come here. I don't know what it would be like if I didn't have these people by my side.
Jan believes that higher literacy rates can help solve some of the many issues facing Lynn's residents.
Literacy is what's going to help them get out of that same cycle of looking for the monthly need of shelter, food, and clothing. The most successful nations in the world, the most successful cities in the country, the most successful communities in our own state are people with high literacy rates, and that's what we're trying to do here.
With that mission in mind, the REAL program have been busy building and installing little free libraries around Lynn, often with help from outside organizations such as Breckenridge Capital Advisors. Funding and supplies for the libraries have been mostly donated by individuals.
Todd Bohl is the founder of the Little Free Library Association out of Wisconsin. Now it is actually a worldwide movement, and we here in Lynn are trying to be known as the City of Readers. The concept of the Little Free Library is take a book, leave a book. But here, people don't have books, and when they get books, they don't want to return them. Personally, I don't mind. I will just keep fighting books.
Reading's important in life. If you don't read, you can't do a lot of things. You can't succeed in life. If you know how to read, then you could go so far in life.
We have one in front of the Real program at 17 Atlantic Street. 4 times a week we fill the box. We have collected and distributed over 240,000 children's books since 2013 now.
As of the summer of 2023, there are approximately 70 free little libraries from the Real program, with the goal of getting at least 250. A full map can be found on the Real program website showing all of them.
The free little libraries are so good. The fact that there's just a little free library out in the street, if they can't afford anything, they could go and get a book. They'll learn how to read and maybe come back next time.
Children need literacy just like we need love. We can't define love, but we know when we have it and we know when we don't. And that's the same with literacy. People understand illiteracy is bad, but don't understand literacy is good.
Now, we will not be showing the winning LCTV news program, but you can find it and all episodes by visiting the link lyntv.org/news. Lynn residents Abel Sereno Reyes, 21, and Carlos Ramirez Corniel, 16, were arraigned on December 10th at Superior Court in Salem in connection to a drive-by shooting that left 2 dead and 5 injured. Sereno Reyes is charged with 2 counts of murder, 4 counts of assault and battery with a dangerous weapon, and 1 count of assault and battery with a dangerous weapon resulting in serious bodily injury. Ramirez Corniel is charged with 2 counts of murder. Both pled not guilty to all charges and were ordered held without bail. The 2 defendants are scheduled to return to court on January 27th. 3 additional defendants have also been arraigned in connection to the deadly shooting. The City of Lynn, in collaboration with the MBTA, have unveiled new plans for the MBTA garage on Broad Street, which has been closed since the summer of 2022 due to safety concerns. The plan moving forward will include a partial demolition and renovation of the space. Half of the garage spaces will be repaired for continued parking use, while the other half will be torn down and used for transit-oriented development through a public-private partnership. The MBTA included $2.2 million in their most recent capital investment plan for the decommissioning of the garage. Lynn will be working with both the MBTA and Mass Development to make the garage a core component of the downtown area. The project is currently in the design phase, with additional plans and opportunities for public comment to be announced in 2025. An update on the implementation of ARPA funds was presented to the City Council at their November 26th meeting. Lynn received just over $75 million through ARPA in federal relief funding. At the time of the meeting, the city had allocated funds to 117 projects, 63 managed by city departments, with the remaining 54 going to partner nonprofit organizations. Begun back in 2022, all but $174,000 of the money have been designated to a project. Some highlights include EDIC awarding 508 grants to small businesses, 85% of which were women or minority owned. L-Hand assisted 500 renters and owners, while helping create 56 units of affordable housing. Leo used their piece for a new preschool, while the Lynn DPW obtained new vehicles and equipment. Keeping in the holiday spirit, the Lynn Public Library held their 2nd annual Craft and Book Fair. Local artisans got the chance to sell their work, while Friends of the Lynn Public Library raised funds for programming through their book sale.
So this is our 2nd year doing the craft fair. I wasn't here last year, but it was a great success last year. We have easily twice as many vendors and really giving us like a lot of eclectic stuff, creative, necessary stuff. This is from Irene McCarthy. She has knitted hats, but we also have unbelievable art. We have hand warmers. I mean, there's just a lot of stuff being sold here. We are also having a book sale, which is right behind me. So the library makes the book sale part of the craft sale every year that we've been doing it. And again, it's just a lot of different books that are available. The proceeds go to what's called the Friends of the Lynn Public Library, and that is the arm that can take in donations to the library to make the library even better than it is, which is difficult because it's a great library. I think there's a lot of reasons why having a craft and book sale is important. It not only brings in the community that might not come to the library regularly and kind of gives them an in to look around and acclimate themselves to what we do here, but it also gives people in the community who are creative an outlet for their creativity and a way to sell some of their goods that isn't strictly online. Come on down. You know what this stuff is good for besides gifts for families and friends, and for me because I need a hat. It's great for a Yankee swap. If you do that, I mean, you've got everything here. Lots of different kind of things. Stickers, earrings, unbelievable watercolors of local areas. I mean, there's something for everyone.
In May of 2024, the city established a charter review committee to assess the existing charter and special acts, as well as advise the City Council on places where amendments would be beneficial. The charter was written in 1850 and was last reviewed 40 years ago. Beginning May 30th, the Charter Review Committee began meeting, and they want to hear from the community. All residents can review draft recommendations and provide feedback through their online forum available on the city website. There will also be a hybrid public meeting on January 7th, 2025 to solicit public comment on Zoom and at City Hall. The committee will propose and submit recommendations to the City Council for approval later in 2025. Calling all Lynn youth aged 16 to 21, audio chemists, a Lynn-based studio, are working to engage you in an upcoming project, The Lens, a free filmmaking program that empowers the underserved youth in the city to create audio and video content to explore themes such as housing inequality, mental health, and community development. In this 12-week course, participants will receive hands-on training and mentorship to produce their own film, covering a wide range of skills from photography to audiovisual production to screenwriting and much more. The goal by the end of the course is for the youth to produce short narrative films that reflect their lived experiences, while also exploring social issues. Go to our website, lyntv.org, to learn more and get the link to register. The Georgia Bulldogs captured the 2024 Southeastern Conference Championship with the 22-19 overtime win over SEC newcomer Texas. Why is this a headline? Because Lynn native and St. John's Prep graduate Jonelle Aguero is a sophomore defensive back for the Bulldogs and helped lead 7th seed Georgia to a championship. Wearing number 8, Aguero made 3 tackles in the game and 25 total this season. As stated by him, "I will continue to keep this city on the map," end quote. Congratulations to him and all the Bulldogs. Turning back to the pros, the Celtics dropped a weekend contest with the Memphis Grizzlies, 127-121. Drew Holiday had a breakout night, leading the team with 23 points in addition to 4 rebounds and 3 assists. They followed this up with a win, 123-99 over the Detroit Pistons, led by Peyton Pritchard with 27 points and 7 three-pointers. It took overtime, but the Bruins squeaked out a 4-3 victory over the Philadelphia Flyers. Trent Frederick scored half the goals himself, but Pavel Zacha was the hero again, scoring on a perfect pass from David Pastrnak with 2 minutes remaining in overtime. They followed this up with an ugly 8-1 loss to the Winnipeg Jets on the 10th. Winter is in full swing, but the Lynn Public Health Department is reminding the community to stay vigilant about rodents. They have launched a program teaching residents how to keep rats off their property, as well as an abatement program if they do see them. Hear more on this week's Lowdown. Hello and welcome back to the Lynn Lowdown. I'm Dani Vittori, and today we have on representatives from both the Lynn Public Health Division and Inspectional Division for the City of Lynn. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having us.
Great. So, first question is easy. Could you just introduce yourselves and what your roles are, please?
April Peralta, Chief Health Inspector.
Lisa Tobin, Public Health Director.
Great. So you are here to talk about the lovely subject of rodent abatement. This is so attractive. But I will start by asking about, that's become a little bit of a problem in the city of Lynn, so how has that been coming to your attention lately?
Do you want to start?
I'll start. Okay, so we get a lot of complaints. People, they can file complaints through online, calling in, or coming to the office itself. It's a never-ending thing, more higher in other locations than others, but that's usually how we get them all.
So I guess in terms of that, like public health, you help with creating policies, Inspectional Division helps enforce them. That can be a little bit confusing. Would you mind explaining that piece of it?
Sure. So the Public Health Department is charged with the implementation of the State Sanitary Code, which is done through the Inspectional Division.
Okay.
So the Public Health Department, through the Board of Health, will address any regulations in the city, such as our Integrated Pest Management Regulation,
Okay.
which regulates pest management on construction sites or during building demolition and things like that. The Board of Health implements the regulation. April's department and her folks implement it and make sure it's being done.
Okay, that makes more sense now. So in terms of rodent abatement, what does the health department do in terms of helping to regulate this problem?
So the current program, we have a rodent abatement program that allows for single-family and two-family homes to have bait boxes put in the yard, and regularly checked for fillings of those. And then on the other side of it is any construction that is going on, making sure that they do have a pest management in place for before or after any demolition.
And in terms of regulations at the city, we have, as I had said, the Integrated Pest Management Plan for construction projects, but it also is in place for dumpsters.
Okay.
So they're required to have regular pest control service reports. We also enforce it locally when we get complaints at housing through April and the health inspectors requiring licensed pest control.
And in terms of residents as well, you know, there's things that they can do to help try and mitigate this problem. But so what recommendations do you have?
So the biggest one I always say is making sure that the trash barrel lids are, closed, there's no overflowing trash. The rodents are never going to eat the bait if they have a buffet in the barrel.
Right.
So making sure that, those things are in place and things are closed, getting a hold of the DPW if they do need their barrels fixed, that's an option. It is done for free. If you need additional barrels, it is at a cost. And then also just having the inspectors go around and check when we do get big complaints for any burrows and making sure that the landlords are taking care of those issues.
Yeah, in addition, you can see on your property if you have any sightings of rodents, like you notice on the side of your house, it looks like maybe like it's grease, but that's actually rodents rubbing up against the property because they tend to run along borders so they know where they are. You'll see bite holes on something.
Right,
You'll
yeah.
see bite holes on the dumpsters. We recommend that areas where there's a lot of brush that you clean up so that they can't burrow underneath it. Check for signs at the fence to see if they're burrowing underneath the fence. And for those people who have dumpsters on their properties, making sure that the dumpsters have a plug that's not broken, that there's no holes in the covers from people being able to get into it, and making sure the dumpsters are kept covered.
Okay. And obviously rats have always been a bit of a problem, but has it seem to be more so of one lately? That's the numbers seem to be going up?
We've definitely seen an uptick in it, and we are meeting regularly to try to figure out a new path for that, creating possibly a whole new abatement program in addition to our two pilot program locations that we have, obviously over by Magnolia Park with the construction of Pickering, and then also the Orchard Street area. We receive a lot because they're doing that water and sewer project down there.
Right.
Yeah, and since the pandemic, and I know we're all a little tired of hearing since the pandemic 4 years later, but when the rats couldn't go to the restaurants to get their food sources, they went to the neighborhoods. Believe it or not, rats are very smart, so they know where to find their food. They even know how to leave their scent in areas to prevent other rats from going into areas. So believe it or not, you have to really be strategic if you're trying to get rid of rats or prevent an infestation. And again, you're not having any other food sources available, so that the only food source available is the bait.
Right.
We've also worked with different types of rat control abatement, and we've worked with a lot of conservancy folks to make sure that what we're doing in different areas isn't going to hurt other animals.
Mm-hmm. And from the Public Health Department, what sort of information do you put out, or where can people find more information about these programs that you offer?
So the abatement program itself, the forms that you have to fill out are available online and or in the office. It's basically a release for someone to be allowed onto their property to put the bait boxes in. So that's the first step. Other than that, it's just a matter of trying to find the locations and getting them under control.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and we have some web resources on our city website at Public Health.
So pretty straightforward, pretty simple ways for people to learn more about it. And I need to remember the next question. I guess going into the winter, do the seasons have a large impact on when they try to get in places? Because winter, they may not have another food source. Or does that make it?
I don't necessarily find that rats try to get into basements the way mice do. Like I think we're all familiar with in the fall, like we know the mice are trying to get into the basements. Rats tend to have nests and burrows underground, so they're not really necessarily looking to get someplace warm.
Okay.
But if you're overrun and then they've used their food source outside, they're going to try to get into a food source. So yeah.
Oh, great. That's really reassuring.
So filling holes around your foundation is highly suggested if you have any of those holes.
And one thing that was crazy, how small the holes can be for them to squeeze into, which I didn't even understand. How small were they?
I don't know exactly, but very small, because I don't believe rats have any bones. Yeah. So like if you look at a dumpster and you see on the side they have like that little pipe hole, it's probably about this big. And they can squeeze through that. They can get through immensely small areas, even a large rat.
Of course they can.
One of the other things is water sources as well.
Okay.
So not just food, but particularly after rats have taken bait, they'll be thirsty. So they'll be looking for any water sources. So if you have, some people have like covers to barrels on the ground and they're flipped over and they fill with water, that becomes a water source for a rat. So it's mindful for that too.
Wow. So things that I wouldn't even necessarily think of how resourceful they all can be.
They've been around forever. They're very resourceful.
And how have people been taking to the pilot programs? A lot of people have been using them. Do they seem successful so far?
Yeah, we do have there's been an uptick in it, but yes. I mean, people see, but I think the more so you're still seeing them.
Right,
And then once they do eat the bait, you're dealing with the aftermath of possibly finding a dead rat here or there. But circle of death is, that to actually, if you can put it in a burrow, put it in a burrow, because in the end, rats eat each other. So they be therefore eating the poison again. So it's kind of circle of death.
Perfect Thanksgiving discussion, isn't it?
So, yeah. Great thing to be talking about right before that all.
So one of the things that we did in one of the pilot areas that we worked on last year was on foot code enforcement. Really going out there and walking and looking at every property that was in this area to make sure that the property itself was ready to be baited, so that there was nothing else on the property that would be bringing the rat. And we find that was more than 50% of getting to the problem, is just really making sure people understood. Because I wouldn't say that it was people didn't care. I don't think people understood truly what rats can burrow in, what they will eat, what is attractive to them. So getting out and educating people and keeping people informed was a huge part of the success of the program. So I know that that's something the city wants to do more of, and we're working to build that.
Because like you said, if they have another source, vape won't matter, it doesn't work, right?
Correct.
Right. And I do have to wrap up in a moment, but was there anything else that you wanted to mention about the program, enforcement, any resources that I hadn't mentioned?
I mean, we're putting forth another program, trying to get more inspectors on the ground and seeing, especially with people who do request, the vape boxes, to possibly include inspections on those, just to. We can put down all the vape boxes that we want, but if the yard is still, a mess, or there are broken trash barrels, we're just trying to get ahead of that so they do eat the vape more than, the buffet in the barrel.
Yeah, I would just say that that when people have questions, to reach out proactively. Look on our webpage for resources, just to be mindful about their own properties, working together as a neighborhood, because when one neighbor has a problem, it's eventually going to go to the other neighbors.
Of course,
and
yeah.
just making sure that you work together to make sure that you can keep them at bay.
And all the information that you provide today has been wicked useful. I know I've learned a few things, but I want to thank both of you for coming on again to really share these resources.
Thanks for having us, Dani.
Of course, thank you anytime. And once again, I'm Dani Vittori. This has been the Lynn Lowdown, and we'll see you next week with more guests. Tomorrow, the
14.
The Lynn Disability Network is hosting their third annual sensory-friendly holiday party at Lynn Tech 80 Neptune Boulevard. All activities are sensory-friendly fun to bring holiday cheer to people of all ages. Celebrate the season in an inclusive and welcoming environment for everyone. Follow this up with a visit to Ward 3 Councillor Coco Allensung's house for a performance by the Lynn Public Schools All-City Band. Every year they swing by to serenade the audience in celebration of the ongoing holiday season. Right now the weather looks cool but clear for a perfect winter night event on Merrill Street. Join the Density Open Mic, where artists, photographers, vendors, and the community can come together to build connections and grow as a team. This is a free 18-plus event held at Lynn Arts from 7 to 11 p.m. on the first and third Sundays of each month. The next round is this upcoming Sunday, the 15th. When artists arrive, they will sign in and perform in a randomly selected order. Each artist will have either 5 minutes or one piece to perform. The event is designed to be a safe, supportive space for everyone to express themselves freely. It is also a sober event, so no alcohol will be sold and smoking is not allowed on the premise. That packs up the news for this week. As always, stay up to date on our award-winning coverage, member content, and complete community calendar by visiting lyntv.org. Follow us on social media at Lynn Community TV for updates on holiday events, press releases, and much more. If you want to see videos going all the way back to the beginning, head to Lynn Community Television on YouTube. I'm Dani Vittori, this is LCTV News, and we will see you next week.
This episode of the LCTV News is brought to you by North Shore Community College, Leo Inc., Brotherhood Credit Union, Daolis Brothers Construction, and King Movers and Storage.